I'm Kira Cleveland, and this is Human Intelligence. With my co host, Ned Hayes, we talk about the importance of human creativity in the age of AI. Welcome to the future.
Human Intelligence is happy to welcome writer and developmental psychologist Ryan Gossen to the show. So, Ryan, it's really great to meet you. I would love to hear a little bit about the creative work that you do and what kind of drew you to it.
Writing was plan A. I think
Oh,
coming out of undergraduate school, I wanted to write. Specifically, I think I wanted to write fiction, but maybe a little bit of journalism as well.
mm,
Um, but I couldn't make a living at that. I was unable to do that. So there was a plan B, C, D, and E. And I think around plan F, I went back to graduate school in cognitive psychology. Then I went
mm.
into user experience design and user research. So I guess that's plan F now. And writing the whole time, actually, because it's the one thing I cannot not do. It's part of my processing. I can't go for very many days without writing and not just feeling like I've sort of fallen asleep. I've just got so much cruft built up in my brain. I need that morning time to get it out, even if it's just journaling. It's necessary. It's a necessary activity for me. Um,
Hmm.
I do it even though I don't get paid much money for it.
Yeah,
I just have to. Um, if
I
I
love
if
that.
I think if I could get paid more, I would probably write more. But there's a baseline amount that I have to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. So, what are some of the kinds of writing that you have been paid to do, or what is the kind of writing you love to do?
Let's start with what I love.
Mm,
The thing that I like to write the most about is man's interaction with nature. That's kind of my
mm.
beat, I guess. I've The last few years have been a lot of essays, and that all seems to be the trend. I don't intend to stick to that, but
Yeah.
um, I'm really interested in the border between myself and other people, the border between myself and nature, other people in nature, and exploring how those things live in tension and are how they're the same. And I try to get really personal. Actually, I recently read I asked Gemini to, to describe my writing style, and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and it was pretty. I think it was pretty accurate. For a blurb, it was a pretty good blurb. It was a good, accurate description of what I attempt to do,
Mm.
which is interesting. It reflected my intentions. Um, but then I asked it to write an essay in the style of my writing, and I absolutely hated it.
Really?
It was
That's
terrible.
interesting.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
wasn't just because I was self-conscious. It was truly a bad essay.
All right, so you're not worried about it copying you well yet.
Well, no, I guess I am. It's not very good now, uh, but it's
Mm,
changing. And I feel like I said, there's a certain amount of baseline writing that I have to do.
mm,
Beyond that, um, I feel like I need to connect with other people, and that my experience of writing, even just that baseline writing, is incomplete if there's no connection. Like I often do a mental exercise with myself where, like if I've been placed on another planet and I'm just colonizing another planet and it's just me, would I
uh-huh.
still would I still write if I couldn't reach anybody? And I don't think I would. I would just
Really?
um, no, I think I would just go crazy. I would all this layer of consciousness that I have that usually just blows off in the wind and reaches other people. Uh, there would be no reason to think of it apart from myself if there were no other people. So I think I would just be insane. I think I would go.
That's You think you'd go insane. That's really interesting. Well, okay, so along those lines, what does a flow state feel like for you, or what does that look like?
Usually starts with coffee, um,
Same.
sometimes alcohol, but
Mm,
there's there's a long history of ruined attempted writers who relied too much on alcohol and less of a record with caffeine. So I've sort of staked out the morning time. The flow state is I don't I'm not completely aware of it when it's happening, but a really strong signal is if I crack myself up. If I laugh out loud while I'm writing, I know that's like a signal like this is going well. Like the thing that's coming out is making me happy.
Oh, I
Or
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So outside of coffee, is there anything else that you usually do to kind of get into that state? Or, what happens for you if that flow state's ever interrupted or kind of absent?
Well, it's absent all the time, and I have to I have enough interest in what I'm doing where I push through and finish works that I've started anyway in the absence
Nice.
of a flow state. I mean, I if I waited for a flow state, I would never get anything done at all, ever. Flow state's just gravy, you know.
Mm,
That's wonderful if you get it, but it I don't go looking for a flow state. I place myself in a time and place where it's likely to reach me. Like if I'm consistent about a time of day, and like if I have a cup of coffee at 8 o'clock every morning, um, there's like the spirits know where to find me if they
yeah.
want to. But if my life's too hectic, and I've disrupted my patterns, then I'm kind of unreachable. So
Okay.
it takes some repetition sometimes.
Yeah, I can get that. Has has there been a time where you've made something, written something that's kind of surprised you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, lots of times. I mean, the things that I really like surprised me. I wrote something that I didn't intend to start writing as fiction. No, I think I did intend to start it as fiction, but it was a description of a possum going through the garbage on my street,
Mm.
and I just wrote a was it first person? Yeah, I think it was a first person short story about this possum and its experience with the street that I live on. And I was surprised by the possum's experience and his he kind of had a profound like lethargic narcissistic attitude towards the world, but also like a really kind of a deep intelligence, a deep wisdom, or at least a really deep connection and synchrony with the rhythms around him, including that of the garbage man.
I love that. That sounds like that would have been very entertaining or interesting to read.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really that was really fun to write the first draft of, and
Hmm.
but then there was there was a lot of editing. It just
Mm.
the editing like if I want it to actually be something I think was really good, then I have to edit the shit out of it, and then I have to be careful about not killing it while I'm doing that. So sometimes I
Mm.
edit it for a while, and then I have to take a break because I stop seeing the essence of the thing anymore, and I no longer
Okay.
believe in it, and I'm in danger of uh, just spackling it into meaninglessness, or taking the life out of it. So the stuff, most of the stuff I publish, the first draft was written years ago sometimes, and it's
Hmm.
almost like I feel like I'm harvesting grapes and I'm putting them in a barrel, and that barrel's got to sit for a while before I open it up again and check it. I didn't intend to work that way. It's just I've been doing this for a while, so I've got a lot of stuff that hasn't worked out yet.
It's still cooking, still fermenting, still evolving. I like
Hmm.
that. What's something you would share with other writers kind of just starting out?
Well, that's really tricky. You asked me what I would say to a young writer, but I guess I'll answer an easier question,
All
which is
right, by all means.
like how do you edit someone else's work, or how do you provide feedback? Because that's one of
Right.
the things I would say. I would provide feedback on their work. I guess that's what I would say to a young writer. I'd say, "Can I read something that you wrote?" And then I would speak to that. When I read somebody's work that hasn't been published, there's not like this picture frame around it. You know that when something's been published, even if it's in a shitty publication, or if it's not a very good piece, or it's kind of hackish and amateurish, if it's been published, it has a sort of a picture frame around it. And so it's sort of subliminally, you give it the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I do that, and I've seen how the sausage is made.
Hmm.
So when I read someone's a draft of something that's been presented to me as a draft, that benefit of the doubt is really reversed. I'm assuming this thing's got problems. So I try to look at what the person is trying to do, and I try to look at what they have done, and I try to ask questions sometimes, but make responses that let them know where I went with it in my mind. Because sometimes what the real value in what you've written is not what you were trying to do. And you may not even see it, especially like really good writers are not terribly aware of how the spirit in their writing works. It's something that
Interesting.
somebody else can point out more easily sometimes. If you're trying to write one thing and you wind up writing another thing, you could
Hmm.
you might not understand what it is you've done. And sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody else read through it to see what it is that they got. It's almost a cheat code. It's so incredibly valuable, if especially if that person is somebody whose mind you have an understanding of.
Hmm.
um Man, I wish we lived in an age of good editors again. Like I could really use a good editor. I've pined for a good editor for a long time, although I think if I had a good editor, it probably would make my life really hard.
Also.
Harder than it is. I would be pushed to be a better writer. I
Mm.
wrote it. One of the essays I wrote was about a philosophy of editing. My premise was that positive feedback can be the most toxic for somebody who seriously wants to become a better writer. Constructive criticism is completely inappropriate for as feedback for a creative writer. If it's constructive, you're a co-writer. If you're providing the tendency for people who are not accustomed to editing other people's work is
Hmm.
to chime in with your own fucking idea, and it's not your piece. It's not
Okay.
that's not what you were asked to do. This is somebody else's thing they're trying to create. The most useful thing that you can provide to them is transparency into your brain so that they can see what hit the wall and how it works in you. That's what they need. But that's so hard to do because it requires candidness and honesty on the part of the reviewer. It's much easier just to shine someone on and say some nice things and then contribute an idea of your own. But that is worse than useless.
Really interesting. Two things that I'm kind of hearing from that is, some people may be reluctant to show incomplete work, right? But sometimes
Right.
in not allowing it to be consumed even early on, you rob yourself of that ability to really make it something great. But also having people who are loving and brave enough to be candid and transparent is really a service. I feel like there's a lot of times where people try to be so PC, so polite and thoughtful that they actually end up, like you were saying, just kind of giving lip service,
Uh-huh.
and denying that opportunity for true engagement and growth.
Yeah, it's an incredible like just dialectic experience you can have with another human being to
Mm.
read each other's work and provide feedback. I come from a corporate background, and from what you've said, you do as well. So I
Yeah.
know you understand exactly what it's like to go into a meeting where you cannot give your honest feedback about something. That's most meetings.
Yeah.
But maybe it's every meeting. I don't like. It's like it's just this, and it's very hard to not bring that corporate reflex into the an artistic environment.
Yeah, I could see that. That's very interesting. Here's an interesting question. When people are labeling something as like human made, right? There's a big kind of debate on there's a lot of AI tools out there in a lot of creative spaces, Google Docs, Word, Photoshop. For you as a writer and within the writing realm, is there a line between what you consider allowable AI involvement and too much?
Allowable. I think we're doing is we're doing a copy paste of our old schemas about plagiarism and trying to apply them to AI.
Mm.
And I think it works partly. The standard of honesty, I think, remains valid. Like if you say that you wrote something, then you have to have written it. But I guess maybe your question is about, well, what if you sort of wrote it and you say that you wrote it?
What constitutes sort of writing it, right? At
Yeah,
what point do you feel like, yes, AI was involved, or this is no longer completely human made?
I love questions like this.
Oh, okay, good. I just wasn't sure. Some people don't.
No,
So,
no, I
like,
love it. If we're talking about what should and should not be done, it's just a question of honesty. And part of the problem with honesty is we don't have a good vocabulary for all of these different gradations, because as you're pointing out, it's not a binary status, whether it was human or computer made. It's all hybrid, starting with my spell check, I guess. One problem is I don't think we have a vocabulary with which to signal um, human authorship, or the degree of human authorship, or
mm,
even beyond the degree, the dimension of human authorship. Like what sort of, because there's all these different types of mental activity that go on when you write. There's research, there's
mhm,
reasoning, there's I don't know, poetry. Um, so what part did the computer help with? Uh, there's so that makes me think there's never going to be really clear categories, but we do need some, at least a vernacular for it. And
mhm,
it seems like a good place to start, actually. What I want is a connection. That's what I want from my writing as I expose it to the rest of the world. I
mhm,
want to form a connection. It doesn't mean anything to me if a crawler finds it, and if it's got good SEO. It means something to me if someone reads it and it registers in another human mind. Then my ideal technical innovation would be some sort of emotional receipt that I can receive. I'd like a view where I used to be a user interface designer, so I'd like
yeah.
a sort of a data view of these things that I've released, and I'd like some sort of visualization of the quantity and quality and dimensions of emotionality that it's created, or that is the experiences that people have had with it.
That's really beautiful. I
Yeah,
understand that. Do you ever read your stuff in a public forum?
I've tried that. I've tried that a couple times in front of big rooms. Um, I didn't find it as satisfying as I had hoped that it would be.
One last kind of question for you. What do you think the value is of labeling human creative works?
Labeling human creative works as human created,
Hmm.
I think it'll be good for humans.
Hmm.
If I'm a human, I have different motivations for reading things, but I believe that a primary motivation people have for engaging with art is to connect with another human being. Otherwise, there's other sources of randomly generated artifacts or things that are generated that can be pleasurable to look at. Like go and look at the sand at the beach. That's pretty cool. What like
Yeah.
and it looks a hell of a lot better than any painting I've seen in a museum. But I still go to museums, and
Hmm.
I go to museums because there's a human story behind everything there. It's an artifact. It was created by a person. So if we start to live in a world where that distinction is no longer visible, then um, I don't know, everything's collapsed into one thing. It just seems like something incredibly big is lost.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Ryan, and I'd love to read some of your work and see if we can showcase some of it.
Yeah, I would love it if you read some of my work.
So,
You can find out more about any of these news items and hear the complete interview on the extended premium version of our podcast at humanintelligence.news. Today's episode was produced by Ned Hayes and engineered by Mohammed Adnan. Our analog-only human-themed music was created for the Human Intelligence podcast by Josh Pinkston of Nature and Spirit. This episode, and every episode, is brought to you by the Human Intelligence Institute team. That's all for Human Intelligence. Thanks for listening to today's episode. As always, this episode is available online at humanintelligence.news.